When President Obama spoke of the winter of our hardship in his inaugural address, no one in America understood that better than the folks we met in Wilmington, Ohio. They're people in the grip of a brutal series of layoffs at DHL, the shipping company, and their experience was part of the news this past week that new claims for unemployment benefits are the highest in 26 years. Since the economic crash of '08, taxpayers have committed to more than $1 trillion in various bailouts of Wall Street, but not much of that is reaching families in crisis. On kitchen tables, headlines from Washington and New York lie beside unpaid tuition bills and foreclosure notices. After all the speeches and parties of Inauguration Day, what were the families in Wilmington asking?
Are we going to lose our home? Are we going to be able to pay our property taxes? What are we going to do for insurance? What are we going to do for food? And these are questions that you never think that we'd ask yourself, And now they're discussions in the home.
Bear hug, big. I
love you, buddy.
Mike O'Mockerly is losing the job that helped support 4 children and a grandson.
They always say that God closes a door, He opens another one. We have faith that He will.
Faith is what sustains Wilmington now. Settled by Quakers 200 years ago, it's a community with such an all-American look that it seems like a movie set. About 12,000 people live here, and many, like O'Mockerly, work in the last industry you'd expect in a laid-back town. In 1980, Airborne Express turned Wilmington's abandoned Air Force base into a hub for overnight shipping.
DHL 934, Wilmington Tower.
8,000 people found work at what they call the Air Park. Then, in 2003, a German company, DHL, bought Airborne in an effort to win a big piece of the U.S. market. It didn't work. The merger was rocky, there were service interruptions, customers left, and with last fall's economic crash, DHL was losing $6 million a day in the U.S. Layoffs started coming by the hundreds. Is everybody a Thursday layoff? Everybody got laid off on Thursday, most everybody. People who have worked here for decades found themselves in DHL-sponsored meetings learning about unemployment.
We could tell you what we did on a daily basis, but you wouldn't believe it. You load boxes in a big container and it'll weigh 800 pounds. You push it out the door through 8 inches of snow and push it up on a barge, and we were idiots enough that we did it by ourselves. We worked as a team, and we had a good friend right alongside of us.
You're losing a lot more than a job.
Our friends. It's crazy. You'll never understand it, but we loved it.
I remember people with scarves breathing through ice and just unreal eyelashes frozen. And I started in '81, and when you worked, you worked. Why weren't we bailed out?
DHL is spending $260 million on severance pay and health insurance that will keep many workers going for several months. But there is a feeling in town that the German company wrecked a successful American business and wiped out thousands of jobs.
I was educated here, Wilmington City Schools, and then at Wilmington College.
And now you're the mayor.
And now I'm the mayor. There were 576 hourly employees.
For months, Mayor David Resk has been getting layoff notices. By federal law, companies have to notify local government when layoffs are coming, and Resk is getting a new letter from DHL every week or so, adding a few hundred at a time to the growing list of lost jobs.
It's got classifications and numbers on it, but there's not names and addresses and who their wife or their family or their children are. And so you look at these and at the end of the day, you think, that's 800 and some people, folks, live here, work here,
The mayor told us 1 out of 3 households has a family member working at the air park. You are what people around here call an air park family.
Absolutely.
Angela and John Pica are raising 4 children on 2 air park salaries. Angela started at Airborne Express when she was 19. Now, as a supervisor, she walks laid-off workers to the company gate and takes their ID badges away.
I escorted 5 individuals out today. Last week, I think I escorted 3.
What's the last thing you say to
I tell them that I wish them the best, and it's been a pleasure working with them, and it has been a pleasure working with every one of them because they're a great bunch of people, and they deserve so much better than this.
For a town this small, it's like the trauma of Katrina without the physical damage. People like to say their jobs drive them crazy, but for many, work keeps them sane.
On November 2nd of 2003, my son was killed over the skies of Fallujah in a Chinook helicopter that was shot down, and he died with 16 other soldiers.
In Iraq.
Yes.
At that time, Mike O'Mockerly was working at a plant making parts for new cars.
And the outgoing vice president from Airborne Express, he knew I was having some problems, and he said, yeah, we need bus drivers. Come on back out.
The job at DHL after his death meant a lot to you.
Yes. I was working at a machining line at a factory, and all I could see was his face all day long, and it was killing me inside. And this job meant that I could see different people and talk to people and kind of become human.
By Christmas, the mayor had received 14 layoff letters and 3,000 people were out of work. 5,000 were still on the job at DHL, but things were getting bleak for them too. About this time, a lot of people in the air park began to see their schedules cut. Instead of working 8 hours a day, they were working 4, and of course that cut their income by half. They weren't unemployed, they were underemployed. And it turns out in this country that the number of people who are underemployed is roughly the same as those who have no job at all. Combine the numbers, call it the suffering index, and it comes to about 13% nationwide. It is certain to get worse. Jerry Lynn Thomas and Bruce McKee saw their hours cut in half.
I just can't afford my house. I can't afford the payment. And I had to look at, trying to just feed my family, my kids. That's my priority.
When was the last time you made a house payment?
It's been 3 months ago.
You start stocking up on groceries. You buy an extra can of soup or something, or toilet paper, packaged toilet paper, peanut butter, and stuff that you can stock in your cabinets and stuff in your freezer.
You've been building a stockpile of food.
Yes. So you just have to start doing, and you do without things, and your son drops out of college early. You just do what you have to do.
He dropped out of college?
Yeah, we had to pull him. He didn't go the fall and winter sessions this year. We don't have the money.
Did you go to college?
No.
Your husband?
No.
So this was your dream?
Oh yeah, it was my dream for my kids to have better than I had, and now they're not going to.
Dreams are closing on South Street as one layoff creates another.
I think 1 in 5 small businesses will fail or could fail.
Mayor David Resk also worries about what happens when thousands of people lose their health insurance.
Approximately $8 million worth of revenue for our local hospital was derived from the insurance. Now, if you take away that $8 million, plus how much charity care is going to increase because people don't have insurance, you could put the hospital out of business. You think about that.
Our whole staff had a meeting, and they said that they would take a pay cut.
In town meetings, businesses are begging for help. U.S. Senator Sherrod Brown is asking for $100 million in federal aid for distressed communities all around the country, and he's trying to get DHL to at least donate the air park to the city.
There's hurt, there's a sense of betrayal.
Betrayal is a strong word.
DHL came in and made promises, and I don't think they lived up to their side of the bargain. That's the past. We can't dwell on that. We need to move forward. DHL, we hope, is going to help us with the air park.
In the meantime, the Sugar Tree Ministries soup kitchen is expanding.
We're actually building, remodeling our room over here, adding 200 more seats.
That would be about double what you're doing now.
Exactly. We should be able to feed about 350 people a day.
You can talk about possible medical options. You can talk about...
DHL workers in their meetings just heard that the state unemployment benefit fund went broke last week. The federal government rushed in with an emergency loan of $500 million just to keep the checks coming. The feds are also spending $4 million here to train workers in computer skills. But that doesn't mean there'll be jobs. The laid-off workers are guaranteed access to health insurance for a year and a half under a federal law called COBRA, but there's a catch.
We got the COBRA, and it was going to be like a little over $1,500 a month.
That's a lot of money.
For my health care. Well, you know, my unemployment's going to be $200 a week. That's not even going to make a dent.
When you're looking forward now, what questions are on your mind?
Where are you going to go to next?
Where are you going to go to next?
Basically, we got 2 families living in my house right now. My husband, and my youngest daughter and her husband, a little baby, and another one on the way. They can't make it on their own, and we can't make it.
And Scott, you have to answer a question.
John Pica may have a DHL job in another city, but they can't sell the house in this market. Angela, the DHL supervisor, is so worried that she's been looking for work too.
Not one callback.
No.
How many places have you applied at this point, would you say, roughly?
I would say between 35 and 40. I've been applying for everything in retail and supervisor positions, warehousing positions. I don't think anything's beneath me to do, but I still haven't received any callbacks.
3 weeks later, Angela, who spent months walking laid-off workers to the gate, found herself among them.
Today is my last day. I'll be surrendering my badge to my manager today after 18 years. It's I'm 37, so that's almost half of my life I've been there.
So it's real now.
Yeah.
And I see they took your badge.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
I just can't believe it's over. I'm not going to see a lot of these people again.
And with his job as a DHL bus driver ending, Mike O'Mockerly is relying on himself. He's turning a hobby into a business, making engraved hunting knives for collectors.
I'm an old school kind of guy, and I'm looking at maybe like on Tuesday nights, we're going to have no electricity Tuesday nights. We're going to light the oil lamps and play checkers and read books by the candlelight and just talk to each other, and maybe we'll become a tighter family through it.
This week, DHL will shut down all its U.S. shipping except international service. Altogether, about 10,000 people are losing their jobs.
Call it ground zero. Wilmington is ground zero. We've got to get back to being America, because right now we're losing sight of what my son died for and what those other 16 soldiers died for. We're losing sight of it. We need to fight hard to get it back.